Hi. My name is Becky Sniggle-Schwart. Thank you for tuning in to watch my video. Today's lesson is the mathematics of revelation. The biggest question on every Christian's mind is, how do you properly interpret and study the book of Revelation? I hear many Christians say, the book of Revelation is so mysterious. The book of Revelation is impossible to fully understand. No one person can fully explain the book of Revelation. According to the Bible, all three of these statements are emphatically not correct. I'm going to show you how to understand the book of Revelation. In my 4-year study, in the last book of the Bible, I learned passages and scriptures contain mathematical equations. I use a basic algorithm, and it's very easy to use. This algorithm is the Xyz algorithm. Xyz can be written 4 different ways as an algebraic equation. X plus y equals z, or x minus y equals z, or x times y equals z, or x divided by y equals z. X and y are called variables, and z is the answer, solution, or outcome. Sometimes Revelation will give you x and y, but not z, or x and z, but not y, or y and z, but not x. If you have 2 letters, you can easily solve the equation. For example, Jordan caught a train from Texas to California. The distance was 800 miles, and the trip took 8 hours. How fast was the train traveling? The distance was 800 miles. X equals 800. The trip took 8 hours. Y equals 8. By using the division equation, we can determine how fast the train was traveling. The book of Revelation is no different. It's just like a worded math problem. Let's use a highly debated topic among Christians. Daniel spoke of a future world leader that will make a peace armistice with all the world leaders for a 7-year period. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate. Daniel chapter 9 verse 27. The covenant is set for 7 years. X equals 7. In the midst, or halfway through the 7 years, Antichrist will break the covenant. When you cut something down the middle, you are cutting it in half. Y equals 1/2. By doing the division equation, we can determine how long the Great Tribulation period will last. By doing simple math, we solved this decade's debated topic in less than 1 minute. How can the entire 7-year covenant be tribulation, if the first 3.5 years of the covenant is peaceful? Peace is the opposite of tribulation. This means only the second half of the covenant is the Great Tribulation period. Christians are confusing the 7-year covenant with the 70th week of Daniel, which is also 7 years. In other words, the second half of the covenant is actually the first half of Daniel's 70th week, which means there is a 3.5-year period unaccounted for. This additional 3.5-year period is God's wrath. Many are lumping these 2 different events together. The Great Tribulation period is Antichrist's wrath upon the Jews and Christians. The wrath of God is the 7th seal judgment upon Antichrist and the New World Order. When you do the math, you must also confirm the math. This can be accomplished through either scripture, political events, historical events, current events, cultures, and just plain common sense. Now, let's confirm the math. When the Great Tribulation period begins, God will raise up 2 witnesses that will preach the gospel. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days. Revelation chapter 11 verse 3. A score is 20. 60 is 60. 1,260 equals 1,260 days. An average Hebrew month is 30 days. When you divide 1,260 days by 30 days, that will give you 42 Jewish months. 42 Jewish months equals 3.5 years. When the future world leader seizes world power, that is when he will break the covenant. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. 42 Jewish months equals 3.5 years. 3.5 years of great tribulation is also backed by Daniel chapter 7 verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand, until a time, and times, and the dividing of time. We know the math is correct, because Scripture confirms it. If you cannot confirm the math through Scripture or some other means, then you are making the Bible fit your theology. If this is the case, you must throw out this idea, because it is misinterpretation of the Scriptures. Let's do a subtraction equation. Many Christians are led to believe Jesus died when he was 33 years old. In St. Matthew chapter 24 verse 2, Jesus told us the Jewish temple would be destroyed. This historical event occurred in 70 AD. It is also a historical fact. This event occurred exactly 39 years after Jesus was crucified. X equals 70 AD, and Y equals 39 years. To find the year Jesus died, we need to use the subtraction equation. Jesus died in 31 AD. To find the age of Jesus when he died, we use the subtraction equation as well. X equals 70 AD, and Y equals 31 AD. Jesus was 39 years old when he died. Again, by getting the correct variables and doing simple math, we answered an age-old question in less than 2 minutes. Now, let's confirm the math. Google, when was Jesus born?
According to Wikipedia, the date of birth of Jesus is not stated in the Gospels or in any historical reference, but most biblical scholars assume a year of birth between 6 and 4 BC.
We know the math is correct, because Christians date Jesus' death at age 33, but they never add 6 BC. Let's do an addition equation. St. Matthew chapter 24 verses 32 to 34. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is near. Likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass, till all these things be fulfilled. The imagery of the fig tree is symbolic of the Israeli nation. The budding or putting forth of leaves is symbolic of the rebirth of the Israeli nation. This historical event occurred in the year 1948. X equals 1948. Jesus said, "When you see the fig tree budding, that generation will see his second coming." A biblical generational span is between 80 to 120 years. Y equals 80 to 120 years. Z equals the end of our era. Let's do the math. 1948 plus 80 equals the year 2028. 1948 plus 120 equals the year 2068. Our era will come to an end sometime between the years 2028 to 2068. Based on the math and what Jesus said, at most, we only have about 50 years left. Let's try something a bit more involved. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven. Revelation chapter 21 verse 2. And he measured the city with the reed. 12,000 furlongs. The length and breadth and height of it are equal. Revelation chapter 21 verse 16. Most Christians wonder just how big New Earth is going to be. Revelation chapter 21 verse 16 gives us all the math we need to calculate its size. 12,000 furlongs in length, 12,000 furlongs in breadth, and 12,000 furlongs in height. 12,000 furlongs is 1,500 miles. So the city of New Jerusalem is 1,500 miles long, 1,500 miles wide, and 1,500 miles high. That's half the size of the United States of America. To get the square miles of New Jerusalem, we must multiply 1,500 by 1,500. The square mileage of New Jerusalem is 2,250,000 square miles. If the city of New Jerusalem is that large, then we know that New Earth must be very large indeed. In some cases the book of Revelation will only give us X, or Y, or Z. In such cases, we can extrapolate. To calculate the ratio of New Earth, we must base it on the size of our current planet. Google, how large is planet Earth in square mileage?
$196.9 million square miles.
Earth is 196,900,000 square miles. X equals 196.9. New Jerusalem is 2,250,000 square miles. Y equals 2.25. To determine the ratio of New Earth, we'll use the division equation. $196.9 divided by 2.25 equals 87 1/2. The ratio is 87.5 to 1. In other words, New Earth will be about 88 times larger in diameter than our current planet. Now that we have the ratio of New Earth, let's determine just how big New Earth will be, using the multiplication equation. X equals 196.9, and Y equals 88. 196.9 million square miles times 88 equals 17,327,200,000 square miles. The planet Saturn is about 16.5 billion square miles. New Earth will be slightly larger than the planet Saturn. To give you an idea of just how large New Earth will be, let's ask Google. Google, how many Earths can fit into Saturn?
700 Earths. According to NASA, Saturn is much larger than Earth. More than 700 Earths could fit inside Saturn.
Misinterpreted scripture is running rampant throughout the church. Many Christians have swallowed the same lie as the world. Endless streams of opinionated views and instant gratification scenarios are corrupting end-time prophecy. The only way to cut through today's prophetic jargon is to think outside of the box. The only way to do this is through logic. Mathematics is the key to understanding the book of Revelation. Prophecy and math are related. Math cannot be fooled or deceived. Math does not lie, but always tells the truth. Math is not biased, and is no respecter of persons. Mathematics and scripture are your biblical parameters. Math does not have any deeply ingrained preconceived notions. If you are really serious about understanding the book of Revelation for yourself, you must do 5 things. Number 1. You must abandon all your deeply ingrained preconceived notions about end-time prophecy. Number 2. You must abandon what you think you know about end-time theology, and start with a clean slate. The reason I say this is, Christians that know biblical theology, know they are right, but do not know enough about biblical theology, to know when they are wrong. Number 3. Before your studies, ask God to give you the spirit of wisdom and understanding. Number 4. It would help tremendously to have a Key Study Bible. I recommend the Hebrew-Greek Key Study Bible. Check out my dad's YouTube video, titled, Hebrew-Greek Key Study Bible. And last, but not least, number 5, use your common sense. Once you grasp the power of the Xyz algorithm, you will begin to realize about 80% of what is taught about end-time prophecy is biblically inaccurate. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must be the truth. So, the question is, are you going to continue to believe in the doctrines of men, or are you going to do the math? As true followers of Christ, we must study the Bible for ourselves. What you believe today will determine where you will spend eternity tomorrow. Now that you have the Xyz algorithm, you can understand the book of Revelation for yourself. Thank you for watching. Please give me a thumbs up on my first video. Hit that subscribe button for more scripturally based videos to come. And don't forget to pick up a copy of my dad's new book titled Revelation, The Rapture Equation. My dad gives clear, concise understanding of the book of Revelation, chapters 1 to 7, verse by verse. It will definitely help you with your studies. Go to www.rapture2061.org or simply scan my QR code. By ordering a copy, you support our ministry. When you support our ministry, you support those in need. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand.